This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by HomelandStupidity.us.
Is anybody in this room a corporation? Huh? Nobody's a corporation.
He is not popular. He is not diplomatic. And he is not innocent. But for the most part, New Hampshire tax protester Ed Brown is non-aggressive. The elderly Plainfield man hasn't verifiably harmed anyone since a robbery conviction in the 1960s. Nevertheless, on January 11, 2010, he will likely be sentenced to die in jail of old age, while a convicted al-Qaeda boss prepares to go free. The date of the sentencing was just announced on December 21st. See the video descript for a link to details. Brown and his wife Elaine led a 9-month standoff of sorts with U.S. Marshals in northern New Hampshire during 2007. He was convicted of a slew of controversial but victimless crimes and eventually captured. To their credit, authorities did not permanently injure him or his wife during the seizure. Brown appears to have committed one aggressive act during the standoff, and it was more speech than action. I'm not even sure he's being charged for it. Multiple sources accused him of threatening the families of federal marshals. So much so that some of us had to stop morally supporting him and revert to merely supporting Elaine or denouncing federal action. Now, aside from me, the two folks demonstrating are Lauren Canario on the left here and Jim Johnson on the right. But most of the charges and convictions, perhaps all, deal with controversial but victimless acts of self-defense. Brown allegedly rigged his home with explosives. He threatened to play Davy Crockett at the Alamo. He urged retaliatory attacks on government officials in the event he or his wife were harmed. It wasn't Gandhi. It was guerrilla war, or at least the threat thereof. But probably 95% of Americans support guerrilla war in some form or fashion, in some circumstances. So has the U.S. government, many times, against the Soviets, the Nazis, the Angolan government, the Nicaraguan government. In many cases, that turned into support for terrorism. So it seems hypocritical that the feds would condemn so disproportionately this prickly old blowhard, a man who was almost a nobody and certainly harmless before they put him in their crosshairs. If Washington had convicted him of threatening the families of marshals and thrown him away for a year or two, they'd get no opposition from me. That's proportionate. But for owning weapons? For trying to defend his house? For refusing to pay a tax that funds torture? Which of those things are evil? Which of them really differ from Davy Crockett or Nathan Hale? What exactly has he done that the Yugoslav communists didn't do worse? Or the Contras? Or the anti-Soviet Afghan freedom fighters? All guerrilla governments he was forced to support with his tax dollars over the years. All organizations the feds have supported before they condemned Ed Brown. How many of these Washington minions claim to be Christian? And how many remember the words, "Judge not, lest ye be judged"? Again, see the video descript for details on where you need to be if you want to witness this hypocritical sentencing.
this is Glenn Jacobs. And Homeland Stupidity, if you want to get the news of the day and the best opinions, Homeland Stupidity is where you need to be. It's not stupid.